Hey guys, it's MischiefWoW. How y'all doing? So a while back I made a video saying that I sent in an Unholy Death Knight guide to Vulture community channel and hoped they would upload it. Now, Vulture Media, a lot of the videos seem to have disappeared. The community channel either got deleted or my computer's just not letting that page show up. And there hadn't been any sign of it being uploaded anyway, so I decided to just re-upload it on my channel. There might be a few mentions of Vulture Media's community channel here and there that I forgot to edit out because I just pretty much edited out the intro. But yeah, I got kind of accepted as an honorary director at the Synecote network at youtube.com/SynecoteHub. Basically, I'm going to be a director, and I'll post a few videos on their channel. They said about 2 to 5, and if I get some positive feedback, then I'll be a permanent director. So not 100% so far, but as of recording this commentary, I sent in my first video, so I hope that gets uploaded. It should, because it sounds like I'm kind of in a trial mode right now. But yeah, so when that gets uploaded, I'll put an annotation and a link in the description, so just go over there and leave a like and a comment, so hopefully I can post more videos over there. But yeah, here is the guide. This is Unholy Death Knight Guide, PvE, DPS. Just to clear things up and just a quick update. So yeah, here's some unholiness. Watch it. So, the first thing we're going to start off with looking at is your talent spec. First of all, you're going to want to take Virulence for the extra disease damage. This is going to be good. As well as Epidemic for the increased duration on your diseases. Now, the only good talent on this tier is Morbidity, which is going to increase the damage of Death Coil and Death and Decay. Shadow Infusion, which when you hit with your Death Coil, you're going to have a stacking buff on your Ghoul, which is going to increase its damage. Contagion is going to increase the damage done of your diseases when you spread them with Pestilence. This is going to be only for AoE, but there's not many other talents you can do to unlock more trees. Unholy Frenzy is a good cooldown, which is going to place Unholy Frenzy on a party or raid member, but it's best to use it on yourself. And they're going to get increased melee and ranged haste, but they're also going to lose a little bit of health. So if you're really low on health, don't use it. Otherwise, use it for some extra DPS. Runic Corruption is going to cause your Death Coil to cost 6 less runic power. And when your Runic Empowerment procs, which is your passive when your Death Coil, Frost Strike, or Rune Strike hit, you have a chance to refresh a depleted rune. With this talent, instead of getting a random rune, you're going to get 100% increased rune regeneration for 3 seconds, so this is an upgrade on that proc. Magic Suppression is going to increase the damage absorbed by your anti-magic shell and cause it to give you runic power. This is not really great for DPS, it does give you a little runic power. It's mainly because there's not many other talents. Once you get all the good DPS talents, you have a few points left over. You can spec it into here, but you can also move it around. Rage of Rivendare is going to increase the damage of your Plague Strike, Scourge Strike, and Festering Strike. You don't use Plague Strike a lot, but Scourge Strike and Festering Strike you do use a fair amount and will increase your DPS substantially. Dark Transformation is one of the best abilities that you can use. It's going to consume 5 stacks of your Shadow Infusion to transform your Ghoul into a undead monstrosity for 30 seconds. They're going to deal extra damage when this is active, a lot of extra damage, as well as they're going to have some new abilities. They're going to all be upgraded. Improved Unholy Presence is going to give you additional haste when in Unholy Presence. Unholy Blight, which is when you Death Coil a target, they're going to have an additional dot on them. Ebon Plaguebringer is going to cause your disease abilities, so Plague Strike, Icy Touch, Chains of Ice, and Outbreak, to also cause Ebon Plague, which increases their damage taken from your diseases, and all magic damage taken. Sudden Doom is a proc that your main hand auto attacks are going to cause your next Death Coil to use no runic power, so this is pretty good. And Summon Gargoyle is another cooldown that causes a gargoyle to start flying in and hit your target for nature damage. Runic Power Mastery is like magic suppression. It's not amazing, it's just kind of some leftover talents. I find them never usually runic power capped, but for the odd occasions that you would be, it can help. Bladed Armor is going to increase your attack power from your armor. Butchery is going to grant you extra runic power. Next, we can look at glyphs. So for glyphs, your prime glyphs are pretty much the only ones that actually matter for DPS. The major and minor are just kind of little fun extra bits. For your prime glyphs, which are DPS, for single target and AoE, you're going to want to take Raise Dead. This is always going to be active. It's going to cause your ghoul to get strength and stamina from you. The strength is going to increase its damage. For single target, I suggest taking Death Coil and Scourge Strike for the extra damage on those two. And for AoE, I suggest taking Death and Decay for the increased duration on Death and Decay. And Icy Touch for the extra Frost Fever damage, which you use when you Outbreak and use Pestilence. So for buffs, Unholy Presence over Frost, and you're always going to want your pet up. If the buff is not present, use Horn of Winter, and in a pause and rotation, when there's nothing else to do, you can use it for the extra runic power. So now with your ghoul up, you can see the extra abilities granted by your Dark Transformation. Now we can look at stats. Your first stat you're going to want to try and stack is Strength. Strength is going to give you a lot of DPS, and it's your #1 priority. Under Strength, you're going to want to hit your 8% hit cap. Now, Unholy Death Knights should be wielding a two-handed weapon because they have no dual wield talents, and it's just overall better, and 8% will be your hit cap no matter what. Expertise is not that great for an Unholy Death Knight. I won't go into the specifics, but it's not very important. Underneath your hit cap is going to be Haste, with Unholy Presence and many Haste talents and Reliant abilities, as well as extra ticks on your diseases. Haste is a very useful stat for an Unholy Death Knight. Underneath Haste is Mastery, which is going to increase your shadow damage done on your Scourge Strike and Death Coil, as well as your Death and Decay. Under that is Crit. Crit is an alright stat. It's not useless, but it's below Haste and Mastery. And finally, Expertise. And I mentioned that before, it's not that useful. You don't need to hit your soft Expertise cap. Alright, so for rotation, you're going to want to keep your diseases up by hitting Outbreak. I find I almost never use Icy Touch and Plague Strike because your Festering Strike will usually keep your diseases up. So your primary focus is hit Dark Transformation the second it procs. Below that is your Death and Decay. It does generate a high amount of threat, so be careful with this, but it is going to deal a lot of damage, especially with the Morbidity talent. Underneath that is your Scourge Strike, is going to deal a pretty good amount of damage. Next is Festering Strike. It's going to deal a decent amount of damage, and it's also going to increase the duration of your diseases. If your disease runs out, use Outbreak, and if your diseases run out and Outbreak's on cooldown, use Icy Touch, then Plague Strike. Death Coil to shave off runic power if you're close to cap, or if you have no other abilities to use. If you have no runes up, then you would use Death Coil. It does pretty good damage, as well as giving you the Shadow Infusion buff, and it's going to be affected by your Mastery. For AoE, you put your diseases and Pestilence, then you really just make sure you use Death and Decay and single target people like you would normally. Just make sure you spread your diseases. So I will now demonstrate the single target. Also, make sure your pet is up and on assist. If it's not, that's going to be very embarrassing and you will deal a lot less DPS. And if your pet dies, use Raise Dead as soon as it's up. So pop your Horn of Winter and run in. So hit your Outbreak, Death and Decay, Scourge Strike, Scourge Strike, Scourge Strike, Death Coil, Now, if you have Death Runes up and you can use Scourge Strike or Festering Strike, sometimes it's better to use Festering Strike if your diseases are going to wear off, because it'll be a DPS loss if you have your diseases wear off when you could have avoided it. So now you notice my Dark Transformation procced, and it was important to hit it as fast as possible. And now there's a pause in my rotation when there's nothing available, so Horn of Winter. So yeah, always make sure you hit Dark Transformation if it is available, because this will increase your DPS marginally. If you have no runes and Horn of Winter's on cooldown, you can pop Blood Tap to lose a little bit of health, but get a rune. So for a cooldowns for an Unholy Death Knight, you have a few abilities that you can use. Alright, so I'm just gonna pop my Dark Transformation quick. You have your Trinkets. You have your Unholy Frenzy. Once most of your runes are depleted and you're low-ish on runic power, when this is a good opportunity to do this, you have your Empower Rune weapon to get all your runes back. You also have your Gargoyle, which is going to start hitting the target and do some DPS. And those are your main rotation. I did forget to hit Death and Decay a few times. This is just because I'm doing a commentary, and it's slightly harder to do a commentary when I'm also doing a rotation. I am clicking for this guide just so you can easily see what abilities I am using without me using key bindings, which is also throwing me off a little. But you can do a decent amount of DPS. Unholy is slightly below Frost for overall damage, but it is fun. It's one of my favorite specs to play. You got your pet, you got a decent rotation that's not spamming Obliterate and Frost Strike, and it's overall fun. It's got some pretty cool abilities that come with it. I especially liked it back in Wrath of the Lich King when you could tank somewhat viably as an Unholy Death Knight, but you can't do that now, it's DPS. It's decent for PvP, but I don't do a lot of PvPing. Alright, so now I might as well show you the AoE rotation. You hit your Horn of Winter, Outbreak, Pestilence, and now you're just going to start tab targeting around using your main abilities. It's not that much different other than tab targeting around and using Pestilence to spread your diseases. Death and Decay you use as often as possible, like a single target. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and see ya.